Good morning, UUCA. Please rise, embody our spirit, and join us in our opening hymns. Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul, of your soul? Hear the cry, fear won't still. Hear the heart's call to will. Hear a sigh, startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear, all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear, When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Shay Stewart Willis. I'm the Director of Communications here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, where we are transforming lives through courageous action and soulful connection. I am so pleased to see you all today. You sound amazing. Equally important for this morning, I am a poet, and so I'm excited to welcome you into a wonderful world of words this morning. Language is powerful. Language can be used to connect, corrupt, build, and destroy. Here at UCA, we use our words deliberately. Thus, I welcome with particular intention this morning my fellow queer siblings. Happy Pride. I also want to welcome in particular our transgender community and our transgender elders as we come upon the anniversary of the Stonewall riots. Pride is a riot, and you are cherished here. In honor of the theme of today's worship, I welcome you who find deep meaning in poetry and you who are confused by it. I invite you this morning to embrace both poetry and everyday conversation as an opportunity to step inside another person's truth. Let language be a portal into other people's perspectives and thus a chance to deepen your own understanding. On that note, despite how you may have experienced it in school, poetry is not a quiet world. So throughout service, you're going to hear some words that activate you. And when you hear words that move you, you can say, Will you with me? Oh, that sounds delicious. Keep that up. You can snap your fingers. Snap with me. Nice, easy one. You can say, yes. Yes. Beautiful. And it's Sunday morning, so of course you can say, amen. Amen. Beautiful, I love it. So now that we're warmed up to enjoy our morning together, let us welcome in whatever way you see fit the lovely Elizabeth Field to light our chalice. I love it. Let's say our chalice lighting words together. May the light
Of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace. So we are going to do an activity this morning, and for this activity, you are going to need your phones. So I want you to take them out and have them in hand. No, seriously, you are going to need your phones. All right. So, as you are taking out your phones, and while I explain our activity this morning, you are either going to scan this QR code or you're going to go to the website and enter this code. And so if you haven't scanned a QR code before, you just pull up your camera, you're going to hold it right there to the QR code, and it's going to pull up a little link, and you're going to click on that link, and it's going to take you right to where you need to be. Okay. So, as Shay mentioned, okay, we're gonna do this quietly. Okay? We're going to do this quietly. Yeah. Okay. So as Shay mentioned, we are focusing on language this morning. And for the purposes of this particular undertaking, we will expand the way we use language. And to do this, we will need to think creatively about words. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's try our first exercise. So you are going to, and if you went to the instructions, you just click that little like thumbs up. Yeah, we got the instructions, and you're going to come to this right here. So you're going to choose a word to describe the color of the sun without using the words yellow, orange, or red. And it doesn't matter if you choose the same words as others. That's actually kind of a neat thing. So you're going to type in there the color of the sun. See? All right. And so you can tell that we are now creating a word cloud. Anybody new to word clouds? Okay, awesome. So this is what is called a word cloud. And you're going to notice that some words are bigger than others. Why is that? More people are choosing that word. Exactly. So this is in real time. So as you are typing these things in, I'm going to add mine here. There we go. Okay, wonderful. So now we have this. Let's see, what are some of the words? Oh, I love plasma. Illuminating, blazing, mellow, as in mellow yellow, love it. Shimmering, flaming, incandescent, deadly laser. Okay. These are amazing. Okay, we're going to go on to the next one because you clearly have this in hand. So the next one is to choose a word to describe how you feel about someone you love without using the word love. So choose a word to describe how you feel about someone you love without using the word love.
Parents.
I love this. Hubba bubba. Woo, woo. All right. Whole heart. I love this. Lucky, cozy, sherbet. Woo. A little tasty there. Adore, passionate, lucky, enchanted, affectionate, accepted. Oh, I love this. Miracle. Love it. Wonderful. And so some of our big words here: cherish, warm, adore, passionate. Wonderful. Okay. So we have a final word for you here. We're going to do one more. So choose a word to describe how you feel today without using emotion words, such as like happy, sad, tired, etc. So how you feel today, see, it gets increasingly harder. How you feel today without using emotion words. Okay, grateful, present, healthy, curious, zombie. Somebody needs a little more caffeine, maybe. Thankful, sunny, tall, blah. Yes, connected, purple. Oh, I wonder what purple feels like. I love that. Growing, summery, positive. This is all. Well, no matter how you feel, you are welcome here. We will take you any way, however you're feeling. Okay, wonderful, everyone. Thank you so much. So this is just one way to practice getting creative with language. Perhaps you can see how choosing words that are not literal may actually better articulate your experience. So the next time you are searching for that perfect word, I want you to think creatively and let your mind reach into the clouds. Thank you. Good job, everyone.
I'm usually back there, so that's why this happens. I would like to invite all of us to rise in body or in spirit, and for Elizabeth Field and members of UU Moves to head on up to lead us in the movement prayer. Thank you so much.
To honor the spirit of life, we lift our arms and embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present, honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you. So at this time, we would like to invite our children, 5th grade and under, to recess and go to their preschool or creative workshop for this morning. And the location of those can be found just down the hall on the 1st floor. And as our children recess, I invite you to greet your neighbor, especially someone you have not met.
Small, ordinary acts can be the portals through which meaning is made. Denise Frohman. The man asks, "What do you know about freedom?" So I tell him how I came out to my grandmother. Say I am more intriguing than the violence done to me. And then I tell him how I wish I could be honest with my mother about my credit history. Or anything that means anything at all. And then I explain how I talk about my father more than I talk to him, because what surprise could a raindrop ever bring the ocean? I explain how I never wonder if my partner loves me when there are biscuits in the house. Only when the man turns to walk away do I approach the truth. Is that I was born under a North Carolina wind bloated with acid, where women forge brave lacquered armor of constraint, scabbards full of toil, slack and useless simplicity clearing loose soil from the excavation, blood spent so lavishly on an empty landscape. In my house, in my mother's house, in my mother's mother's house, a slapdash driftwood body, Charybdis waves, guileful, tempestuous, I taught myself to read the gusts by pricking my ears to their howl. Thus far, the only transliteration that fills this sail of billowing skin. When I say all the black folks here are smiling, I mean humans are the only species for which baring teeth is a sign of benevolence. I mean, ain't it funny how enamel ain't bulletproof, but we crouch behind it anyway? When I say all the black folks here are smiling, I mean all the black folks here are alive and as soft as water and eager to stay.
My life flows on an endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
Let us put hands on hearts. Feel the heartbeat, connection to life. Breathe in peace. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love can heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Please send healing thoughts to Kay Golan. Kay had shoulder replacement surgery on June 22nd and is at home recovering. She would appreciate cards and texts. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning. Speak their names out loud or on the chat into this holy space now. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find more ways to be more loving to one another. Spirit of life, love, eternal, we rest in holy gratitude. We surrender to a mystery beyond ourselves, asking forgiveness for our mistakes. Those times we have been selfish or thoughtless, breathing in and out, we offer grace. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We honor our earth, supporting and sustaining life. We breathe in, opening our hearts to wonder, for just one moment, feeling a deep connection to all beings. Let us calm our bodies and minds. We breathe in peace, and then we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the silence.
My life rolls on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
Good morning. My name is Milena Alvarez. I am the Executive Director for Lost and Found Youth. We're an Atlanta-based organization. It was founded in 2011. We address the unique needs of the LGBTQ youth in Atlanta, ranging from ages 18 to 25 who are experiencing homelessness. What began as a volunteer effort in delivering street outreach, meals, care packages, it evolved into what we are today. Lost and Found Youth provides approximately 57 plus nights of beds to homeless youth. That's pretty incredible when you think about the homelessness that you see on the streets today, but imagine 40% of that population being youth, and 4% of that actually being from the LGBT community. We have dedicated outreach street coordinators that canvass the MARTA stations, the Greyhound station, streets, flat shoals, areas that you can't even imagine that there are homelessness that exists, particularly youth. What we provide is very unique. We're the only nonprofit in Georgia that provides end-to-end services for youth 18 to 25, and specifically in the LGBTQ community. We are a safe haven. We are a safe place for them to not only express themselves, but to seek services in which they can survive. We offer life skill programming, digital literacy, financial literacy, things that we take for granted, how to clean, how to cook, self-care, self-preservation. We provide job readiness and development. We have a youth center that's actually located within our thrift store. So if any of you have ever been in the thrift store off of Chantilly, you might see a lot of activity. But one thing is clear, when you walk through our door, you know specifically what it is that we do. We are a safe place for youth, and specifically the LGBT community. We service all youth, don't get me wrong. We'll never turn a youth away, regardless. They could be an ally, but we won't turn any youth away. We'll provide the same services to anyone who's between the ages of 18 and 25. Our thrift store is open 7 days a week, and you'll hear me say thrift store often. It provides about 48% of the revenue that we need to keep our doors open and our lights on. That's a big percentage. The rest of that is all dependent upon fundraising and donations that come from those that follow us and believe in our mission. Our drop-in services provide food, clothing, laundry, showers. That's all within our thrift store. We've basically have carved out a space so that youth will feel safe in coming in for those services. We offer case management, program assistance. Our community partners are strong. They will come in. If we can't provide it ourselves directly, we know how to source for that, and that's what makes us very pivotal within the Atlanta community. There are actually folks that are in rural areas of Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, as far as Massachusetts and California, that I've received phone calls from saying, we've heard about you. We've heard about the work that you're doing, your kindness, and the ability to provide a safe haven for youth in need. Our thrift store is located, as I mentioned, on Chantilly Drive, and our community engagement is fierce. Our workforce and readiness opportunities are amazing. I would invite any one of you to come in to visit and participate, volunteer. Come in and shop because we could use the revenue. But there's also some great steals there too. Lost and Found Youth, not only are you able to experience an environment that is affirming, but we understand and reflect our own life experiences and share those with youth. We don't want them to feel as if they're muted or discarded or overlooked or misunderstood. Lost and Found has a long history of collaboration and partnership with other organizations, as I mentioned, and this all helps to ensure that youth receive the best possible care. Lost and Found Youth is a recipient of today's Give Away the Plate, and I'm very grateful. It's your kindness that enables us to keep the doors open and the lights on for these youth. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. The offering will now be given, and forever grateful to receive. And I'm sorry, I get really emotional. I've been with this organization for 5 years, and I started off as a volunteer and became a board member. Then I became the board chair, and I'm now the executive director. I believe in what we do every day, and partnerships mean a tremendous amount to us, whether it's an individual, a corporation, a foundation. It's a loving body that's present in the community, and it just means an incredible amount for us. So again, I thank you for allowing me to be here today and share a story and to watch me embarrass myself. But it's genuine. Thank you.
A while back, someone I respect demanded I tell the truth. Days later, a poem wrote itself alive, then journeyed to my lips to be born. I haven't given this a name yet because I believe it should name itself. Parents name us, and the world spends the rest of our lives asking what it is. Every second of every day, strangers introduce themselves in pursuit of familiarity. We trade names like recipes, lick the wooden spoons of every vowel and consonant, taste test the cake batter of each other's origins until a half-baked opinion raises in our mouths. Baldwin said, if the world does it to you long enough and effectively enough, you begin to do it to yourself. If you let my mother tell it, my name is legacy. My sex is the most obnoxious shade of pink. My gender is a pageant queen smizing until her crow's feet shatter. My sexuality is a crime premeditated. I identify as a daughter, eventually a wife. If you let my ex tell it, my name is baby. My sex is the apple of his eye caramelizing against the heat of his socket. My gender is a pie he baked and then sat to cool on the windowsill of my purpose. My sexuality is a mirror for boys to flex their biceps, and I identify as like really pretty. Beautiful on the days he is generous. If you let this country tell it, my name is fever. My sex is a spark teasing a gallon of gasoline. My gender is the fire. My sexuality is a city engulfed. I identify as an apocalypse. In denial, steady searching for ice water at the end of the world. If you let me tell it, I don't want to be the girl of your dreams. That sounds like a terrible place to live. I was born to float. Last year, I bumped into a mesmerizing stranger. Small talk ensued. Their hand sent the skin on my shoulder rippling delicate as water. They asked, "What is your name?" I responded, "Do you listen to Janelle Monáe?"
Thank you. Ooh. What a powerful, powerful morning and blessing on these offerings. Your generosity will go far in truly transforming lives. Now please join me in the dedication of the offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Poetry is a political act because it involves telling the truth. In the process of telling the truth about what you feel or what you see, each of us has to get in touch with himself or herself in a really deep, serious way. Our culture does not encourage us to undertake that attunement. Consequently, most of us really exist at the mercy of other people's formulations of what's important.
A series of times in which I told the truth. To my soon-to-be ex-boyfriend, I say, "I do not make you happy." To my boss, I say, "I disagree." To my new love, I say, "I am afraid." a series of times in which I didn't. I have my first crush on a girl in 4th grade. I meet her at a sleepover. She wears an oversized Green Day t-shirt and slams 2 of her brother's old drumsticks into a couch cushion. This indicated to me a troubling future of attraction to, you guessed it, musicians. But in all seriousness, I fell asleep that night lying to myself for probably the first time in my life. I do not like girls. I do not like girls. I do not like girls. I call my father down to my bedroom every night I can remember at the age of 11. What I say is, my stomach is upset. What I mean is, I can't stop thinking about what happens if I fall asleep and don't wake up. That truth felt too scary to admit to myself, let alone to my father. The popular boy at my table has a lot to say about the government in my 12th grade civics class. Ronald Reagan, he says, stars in his eyes. Trickle-down economics. The floor is open to debate, and I am surprised by my own hand, seemingly having floated into the air without ever consulting me. My name is called. Something about structural inequity presses against my tongue. Universal health care. Gay marriage. The world I want to live in is stuck in my throat. I forget, I say. I sit on my truth. June Jordan said, as you heard, in the process of telling the truth about what you feel or see, each of us has to get in touch with ourselves in a really deep, serious way. Our culture does not encourage us to undertake that attunement. Consequently, most people exist at the mercy of other people's formulations of what is important. Other people's formulations of what is important. All of us were socialized under other people's formulations of what is important. Some of those formulations are wise. Some deeply harm us. As we come of age, we begin to recognize the widely held truths that we have been socialized to believe. In my case, the other people of my hometown include Betsy DeVos and the guys who invented alleged multi-level marketing scheme Amway. So my formulations had a lot to do with being straight and having babies and upholding capitalism. In my teens, I did reject some of these widely held truths, yet I did not undergo real attunement. I didn't determine my own affirmational truths. I only existed in dissent of the beliefs that I disagreed with. It is important to name that which we are against. We cannot, however, expect to build new identities or liberatory futures living only in a place of disapproval. As the brilliant late political activist Afeni Shakur said, I've heard a lot of what I'm against. I don't like this and I don't like that and I hate this. What are you for? What are you for individually? What does it mean to ask the hard questions that lead to real and true attunement with ourselves? We are often told to live our truths, speak our minds, ask for what we want, but the process of attunement is more complex than any of those phrases make it sound. The process of coming to terms with your own truths in a real serious way means both shedding other people's formulations and asserting affirmative truths of your own. Here's a secret about Americans. We all want to know the right answer. In a society that values individual success above all else, many of us want to be the one at the microphone. Let me share my truth, loudly, rightly. Though attunement eventually leads to our ability to share our truths confidently, differentiated from other people's formulations of what is important, the process of attunement requires quiet. Quiet requires bravery. When you're quiet with yourself, with your values, with the truths you have both individually discovered and inherited, you will make discoveries. What are the truths that have lent you comfort? What are the truths that have lent you power? Do you actually believe them? Are they good and sound objectively? Or do they just make us feel good? Our society, so the majority of other people, have tightly held to so-called truths that uphold white supremacy, patriarchy, ableism, and other systems of oppression. If the other people of my entire world have decided that whiteness, colonization, men, etc., are the most important, am I really so evolved that none of those oppressive systems have infected my understanding of the truth? No, I'm not. And so sometimes I must shed a truth, let go of a concept I once held tightly, and when I do that, I, a white American, my instinct is to get the right answer right away. As a brilliant teacher of mine, Vivette Jeffries, once said, "Don't rush to fill that empty space. Don't rush." Attunement is uncomfortable. Attunement is not a quick grasping for the next maybe right thing. Attunement is the studied, careful practice of taking in other people's experiences and your own to discover what you really think, who you really are. One of my first periods of true attunement was in my early 20s. I had shed a lot of old, ineffective truths, and I was lost, afraid. This was the first time that I heard a queer spoken word poet perform, Denise Frohman. She said, "I've heard a woman becomes herself the first time she speaks without permission. After that, every word out of her mouth is a riot." Despite the profound meaning and specificity of those words, it wasn't the poem that changed my life. It was hearing a person share their truth deliberately. It was witnessing the strength and clarity that is another person's attunement. That is what drew me to the art of poetry. Now, just because I love poetry doesn't mean I enjoy every poem I hear. Every poem simply presents the opportunity to hear another person's perspective, to witness another individual's attunement. We need to practice being deliberate and intentional in our language and in our lives by witnessing others model the courage necessary to do so. Every poem and every conversation is a portal into better understanding one another and better understanding ourselves. So here's the challenge, the difficult part. Every time you open your mouth, every time you put pen to paper, you individually carry the power and the responsibility of directly expressing your truth. Whether or not you're a poet, the mere existence of poetry as an art form should feel like a dare to you, a challenge, an invitation. June Jordan goes on to say, if you're in the difficult process of living as a poet, you're constantly trying to make an attunement to yourself, which no outside manipulation or propaganda can disturb. That makes you a sturdy, dependable voice, one that others want to listen to and respond to. It's an act of profound bravery to be a sturdy voice. You don't need to be a poet or even like poetry to embrace the challenge of living as a sturdy voice. We all have the capacity to access the power of speaking our truths deliberately. Another series of times in which I told the truth. I come out at age 23. 14 years after my first crush on a girl at the local open mic. The phrase, "I'm queer," is not in itself a poem, and yet, at this moment, it is. In the wave of 2020 uprisings against police brutality and white supremacy, I tell my parents that I am a police and prison abolitionist. They ask questions. We speak honestly and lovingly. This conversation is not in itself a poem. And yet at this moment, it is. I, newly gay married, dance with my spouse by the ocean. The phrase, "look at the moon," is not in itself a poem. And yet at this moment, it is. At work, a man tells me I'm too tall to wear heels. The phrase, "you're not allowed to speak to me like that," is not in itself a poem, and yet, at this moment, it is. I hurt a beloved friend's feelings. The phrases, "I'm so sorry. I didn't intend to affect you in that way. I promise to think through my actions in the future," that is not in itself a poem. And yet, in this moment, it is. When we study our own stories and the stories of others, we hone our attunement to ourselves. We discover our truth. We witness the courage that it takes, the political act that it is to tell the truth clearly, intentionally, consistently, because to say what you mean can be a poem. To tell the truth can be a prayer. It is to extend yourself, your spirit, and trust that you will be met with understanding. It is an expression of care to approach people with your truth in good faith. And it is an expression of faith in yourself to say precisely what you mean.
Please rise, embody our spirit. Please rise. Yes. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound.
So get quiet this week. Tell someone you love them. Ask for what you need. And celebrate others' truths by joining our LGBTQ fellowship group Interweave for a cookout after service down in the social hall. Go in peace and have a great week.
With me to that land.